All right, here we are, still in polar orbit. It's a day and 4 hours later, bearing in mind the Kerbin day is 6 hours. And this life support thing, I'm thinking it kind of looks like it's using Earth days instead of Kerbin days. I don't know for that for certain. I do know that we're down to 3 hours worth of power. And got science from the grasslands, water, mountain, shores, desert, ice caps, highlands, and tundra. We managed to get EVA reports above each of those biomes. The one biome that we didn't get is the Badlands. And the Badlands are right in this area. This is the only area on the planet with Badlands that I can find. I've looked up on a Kerbal map. And this here is where the Badlands is right in here. And he just passed over on this side, on this orbit. And he doesn't have enough power to orbit until he goes over it again. So, it is now time to figure out how to get this thing down somewhere roughly close to the Space Center. Let's see, he's going up this way. So let's plan a deorbit burn somewhere about here, I think. And let's see, planet is rotating that way. Maybe we bring the deorbit burn down there. Okay. How much delta V do we have to work with here? We've got 2442. Okay. So here's the Space Center over that way. No, that doesn't seem to be helping much there. So just select all and zero out the radial. We can come down in the ocean over here, bearing in mind there will still be some planetary rotation, which should put us somewhere in this vicinity here. Actually, probably here, which isn't too hideously far from the Space Center. So I think I'm just going to go ahead with that. That's 1799 delta V. Alright. Let's go ahead and... Alright, first of all off, I need to turn the torque back on. I turned it off to save power. You can see the electric charge in the capsule is down low, and these batteries are down low. In fact, I'm going to get the fuel balancer, electric charge, and select the command pod, transfer in. So we'll just move all the power from the batteries into the capsule. And we'll just leave it set that way. Okay. Bearing in mind that the LV909 does not have an alternator and will not generate power. Alright, let's get rotated around to our maneuver node. We're talking about a 9-minute and 14-second burn. To achieve this plane change and deorbit burn. Okay, we're in position. 9 minutes 14 seconds. That's 4.5 minutes plus 7 seconds, so 4 minutes and 30 seconds before the node, we will do the burn. I'm going to go ahead and set an alarm for that. 0 and 30. Alright, we have our alarm. Let's time warp down. We can go ahead and turn that off. Okay, the last trip over the pole, I think. In any event, while he didn't get the Badlands, old Hadley did manage to get science or EVA reports from above every other biome. All right. Fine-tune our alignment with that node. All right, delete on close, close. All right. And I set that alarm wrong. I should have been burning 4 minutes ago. Well, 2 minutes ago or something like that. I don't know. Alright, 3 minute 52. Alright, that's a better time estimate anyway. We'll just burn it and get the best results we can. Okay, periapsis is subterranean. We're definitely coming down. It's just a question of how much we can turn this orbit over that way to get ourselves closer to the Space Center on touchdown, or splashdown, I guess, in this case. Okay. I guess we can go ahead and turn that off. We're going to be down long before we run out of delta V, or electricity. Oh, blast it all. I hit the numpad keys, and that adjusts this thing. I need to remember to not try to use the keyboard to adjust this stuff when I'm in the map view. Okay, what's this doing for our inclination? Actually, I guess it doesn't actually matter at this point. As a matter of fact, let's cut thrust and get turned around retrograde and turn that maneuver off. Roll heads up. Okay, close that. All right. He's definitely headed down. And I think we're going to end up using the remaining fuel for some velocity braking, so that reentry isn't quite as punishing as it otherwise could be. This is going to be a hot one. We're coming in rather steep. Yeah. Although it's only a little over 2 kilometers per second, but we're still accelerating because we haven't, no, we are in atmosphere. Okay. Let's use the engine for what braking we can get. Like I should have been doing as soon as I got into retrograde. Lower stage parachutes are getting hot. Okay. We just lost one. Sorry about that. That was a heck of a time to have a cough you couldn't stop. Okay, we're braking good. Just about slow enough to deploy the chutes, so we'll shut this down, stage that off. Get ready to deploy our own chutes. And Hadley Kerbin will be coming back on a largely successful mission. It looks like the heat problems and explosions cost us our heat shield. I don't think that's a problem. Turns out, all's well. Okay, Hadley Kerbin is almost down. Just a little ways to go. All right. Just about down. So it'd be time to recover this thing. See what we get from all the juicy science we collected, and then head to R&D and see what we can buy prior to putting up our first science satellite. Okay, 34.8 science on this mission, total of 93. 2,044 funds from recovered parts, plus the funds recovered from previous stages and whatnot, for 197,000 funds available now. All right. And now for R&D. Let's see. Definitely going to want the solar panels. I need to check. Okay, I've already got the Staputnik. So the solar panels for certain. Let's grab this node. And we'll buy into the OX stat. And the Z200. And just for giggles, I want my white nav lights. And the blue nav light, which I like to put next to hatches and so on, crew hatch, so that it's easier to spot where the entry to a ship is. And the landing lights. I think that will do for that. Yeah, I'm not going to get that. All right. All right. And now, let's see about a satellite. All right, here we are in the morning of year 1, day 3. And we have here the largest, most ambitious vehicle yet to date. The satellite project had to be shelved temporarily because I didn't realize when I said that I had not yet reached the point in the technology tree where I had a repeatable science experiment that I could put on the ship, like for example a thermometer. I don't have anything like that, and so I'm going to wait until I do, which I should have it after this flight. Werdorf Kerbin here is on his way to do the Explore the Moon mission. And if I grab this correctly, expand it out here, Explore the Moon mission, there's also testing the launch stability enhancers at launch and transmit or recover data from space around Kerbin. So that won't be a problem. The launch enhancer, we'll take care of that when we lift off. We're going to achieve orbit around the moon, transmit or recover data from space around the moon, and if possible, if the ship has enough of what it needs, we'll be landing and getting some science from the moon's surface. And so, without any further ado, let's bring up our flight stats, and we've gotten far enough in the tech tree that we now have access to the Smart ASS, the Smart Advanced Space Steering System, or Smart Automatic Space Steering System, I believe is what it actually is. So we'll set this up in my standard fashion. Okay. Alright, everything looks good. Checklist, camera to free mode, throttle to max, let's go. Launch enhancer test complete. This ship is actually the most expensive ship launched yet, with a vessel cost of $48,000. Okay, we're getting up there a little bit. Let's begin our pitch to 88 degrees. Actually, we're lifting off on the SRBs, then switching to liquid engines at separation. Stand by to pitch to 85 degrees, I'd say right about now. Ready to pitch to 80 now. Setting up for 75 degrees. Looking good, nice and smooth the whole way. Go to 75, ready for 65. Slight overheating on the engines down here, but it's minor. We are now on our next stage. Pitching to 65 degrees. We have our batteries and solar panels on this. We have some science gear on here. Go for 55. Get ready to pitch 45. Actually, let's do that now. Get ready to pitch to 15 degrees as our apoapsis passes 70 kilometers. Now, as our orbit begins to stretch out, degrees pitch. Go for an apoapsis about, say, 110 kilometers. Okay, that's away. Now, the one thing about this ship, we've got tanks out here, radial tanks out here. However, we do not yet have fuel lines, so we can't just do the asparagus thing with them, which is what I would like to do. But just like you can right-click here and right-click there and transfer fuel, we will be able to do that thanks to Tech Fuel Balancer, which effectively does that, only it does it in a balanced fashion so that the ship actually stays in balance. Okay, looking good here. Kerbin orbit will not be a problem. While we're cruising to orbit, we can go ahead and get a crew report and transmit it. That will take care of one of the contract requirements. Granted, that crew report isn't worth any science, but it didn't cost anything either. Nice and smooth performance here. Orbit's circular beginning to, well, it's beginning to turn into an orbit. And we're close enough to apoapsis that we're not going to have time to take time for calculating a maneuver. We're just going to continue to burn. Looks like this stage will have a chance to re-enter. I don't know if it's going to survive re-entry or not, but it does have parachutes on it in case it might. And it's doing the job, most of the job of getting us into orbit. So much for that. Okay. Now let's see. Let's get the fuel balancer running. Okay, we need to go over here to liquid fuel and oxidizer. The main tank here, transfer in. Yeah, okay. So it's transferring fuel in from the radial tanks, and it's doing it in a nice balanced fashion. So the ship will have considerable delta V. And that little LV909 will be all the engine we need. 111 apoapsis, periapsis 80 kilometers. We're good to go here. All right. Let's select our target. Where is the moon in its orbit? Over there. Okay. 0.1 degrees out of alignment. I'd say that's good enough. That's going to do very nicely. So we'll set up a maneuver right about here, I think. At least that's a good place to start working the equation. All right. At about 800 meters per second to start with. Let's back up the time. Okay. All right, a little bit more delta V. Bring that moon periapsis down. Adjust the time a little bit. There's a moon periapsis of 35 kilometers. I'll take it. That looks good. All right. 831 meters per second burn. It'll take 4 minutes 11 seconds. We'll do that in 10 minutes. All right. Alarm. I'm going to burn at 2 minutes and 5 seconds or so. Say 2 minutes and 6. So before the node, we want 2 minutes and 20 seconds. All right. Go ahead and rotate into position. All right. And by the way, I noticed something. These life support canisters, I've got one life support canister and one waste canister. And if I look here, according to this, with this one crew member, that amount of life support will be good for 312 days. That doesn't strike me as quite reasonable. I mean, I'll take it, but it doesn't quite strike me as being right. Perhaps somebody can tell me if that is right, or if I've got a configuration messed up or something here, or what. I don't know. But I would be curious to know that. This is the life support canisters from Thunder Aerospace. 113 food, 74.79 water, and 11,466 oxygen. And how that translates into 312 days, I don't know. But that's what it says. Meanwhile, let's time warp out to our burn. I mean, that's long enough. This guy, if he had the Delta V, he could fly to Duna and back in that amount of time. Well, out there anyway. Okay. Close that. Just about ready to burn. And I did find that instant full thrust key finally. And I rather like the fact that we have it. It's something that KSP has needed for a long time. Alright, we should see this moon rising over the horizon soon. Alright, throttling back here as we finish up the burn. Just about done. Alright, it's starting, delta V remaining is starting to go back up, so we're done. Alright. Let's see how it's looking here. We are going to be needing a mid-course correction, but that's kind of to be expected. So I'll get out here to about the descending node, set up a maneuver there to fine-tune this little adventure. It shouldn't require a whole heck of a lot. As a matter of fact, 3 meters per second will fix it. Excellent. Go ahead and alarm that. And get a good view here as Werdorf Kerbin becomes the first Kerbal, in this universe anyway, to leave Kerbin and head out to the moon. Let's slow down the time warp just a little bit ahead of time, and let's get lined up with our maneuver node. And there's our target out there. It's only going to be about a 3-second burn. And it's going to be a lot easier to do with that one key to full thrust thing. As a matter of fact, it was easy to overshoot just a teensy bit, but it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, do we have a moon periapsis? Closest approach says 486.5 kilometers. Let's see if I can adjust that a little bit. That looks like it's turning into a better orbit. No, actually, I don't think it is. Come to think, it's hard to tell. It's really hard to get a view that shows it. Let's see. Put a maneuver here. Now focus the moon and zoom in. All right. There, this is the way I should have figured it out before. A little bit of prograde, a little bit of radial. There we go. 31 kilometer periapsis. That's what we want. All right, 1 hour and 30 minutes until that burn. All right, that'll fix that. And a bit of time warp. Switch that off. SAS on. Now that is perfect. There we go. We are on course for a good moon periapsis. Okay. Next alarm is for SOI change. All right, here we go. Let's get our circularization burn planned. Or orbital insertion burn, I should say. There we go. A nice circular 40-kilometer orbit. Couldn't hardly ask for better. Okay. Set up the alarm for that. And let's get our men in lunar orbit, or moon orbit, or whatever you want to call it. Mune orbit. Sorry, I refuse to call it mun. Okay, now I know I got the view backwards. There we go. All right. And he can transmit another crew report. Oh, not while we're time warping. And we'll get 10.5 science for that. And it will fill one of the requirements for the moon contract. All right, a little bit more time warp. 1 minute and 22. We need to burn right about 45. In other words, 3 or 4 seconds before I was talking about it. Okay, Werdorf, you are the first one to orbit the moon. Or you will be in a couple of minutes. Start backing off our throttle here. Still have plenty of fuel in those radial tanks. All right. Welcome to moon orbit. Very good. And now, let's see. Our guy needs to get some more science going on. Let's get one of these goo canisters. 21 science, we'll keep that. And I think it's EVA time. EVA report, another 16.8 science. Get him back aboard, and let me review that. Where did he get that? Okay, the moon's Highlands. All right, we'll keep it. Okay. So where's my science widget? Okay, we're over the Midlands now. Another EVA report. We'll keep that. Get back on board. And now I think what I'm going to do is take all this time while we're out here on the dark side right now. We're coming around to daylight. And I think the thing to do here is to take one full orbit and get science from above every biome that we can manage to from this orbit. We'll have to have another flight that goes into a polar orbit so that we can cover the whole thing. And then we will see about deciding whether or not a landing is a good idea.